Gangster rapper Tupac Shakur is dead tonight.
Complications from several bullet wounds sustained Saturday night, September 7th. He was 25 years old, about a week after sustaining 4 bullet wounds last Saturday night in Las Vegas.
How he wanted to change his life, but never had a chance.
On September 7th, 1996, Tupac and his crew got into an altercation, and things went pretty bad for the rest of the night, leading to his death 6 days later. While in the lobby of the MGM Grand, one of Shakur's bodyguards noticed a member of the rival Southside Crips loitering near a bank of elevators. He was identified as Orlando Anderson, a 21-year-old member of the Southside Crips gang. Earlier that year, Orlando had been involved in a violent altercation with one of Shakur's bodyguards, Trayvon Lane, aka Trey. The incident occurred at a mall in Anderson's hometown of Los Angeles, where Anderson and his associates had beaten up and robbed Trey, who was wearing a Death Row Records chain. Following the altercation, Anderson dared to snatch a rare Death Row Records chain from Trey, which was a great insult to Knight's honor, and a disrespect to the Bloods. Death Row was the label that Tupac was signed to, and the incident had caused tensions between the label and the Crips gang. After spotting Anderson in the hotel, Shakur approached him and started a brawl in the lobby for a few intense moments. The scuffle was captured on security cameras, showing Shakur and his boys repeatedly kicking and punching Anderson until he was lying on the floor. The commotion caused chaos in the lobby, with bystanders running for cover as the fight continued. Despite the hotel security's attempts to intervene, the brawl only ended when Shakur's squad was satisfied that Anderson had received enough punishment. The security cameras captured Shakur and his crew leaving the hotel hurriedly, adrenaline still pumping through their veins. This was the last known footage of Tupac Shakur alive. It's been over 2 decades since Tupac Shakur was gunned down in Las Vegas. The mystery surrounding his murder remains unsolved. We take you through the final hours of Tupac's life, detailing the events that led up to his tragic death, including possible suspects.
He wouldn't even been out the window. We would have never seen him. My partner was you. When we pulled up, I was in the front seat.
Shug looks over, he sees you.
Yeah.
He looks right at you.
Yeah, he was there.
Tupac rose to fame in the early 90s and became one of the most influential rappers ever. But his life was cut tragically short on September 13, 1996, when he was shot in the chest and a few other places in his body. A day we will forever remember as the day one of the greatest rappers started his decline to death. Tupac Shakur was in Las Vegas to attend the Mike Tyson vs. Bruce Seldon boxing match. The arena was packed with high-profile guests, including Wall Street tycoons, Hollywood celebrities, and entertainment moguls, all eager to witness the highly anticipated fight. But as fate would have it, the event also drew in a less savory crowd, including mobsters from Chicago, drug dealers from New York, and street gangs from Los Angeles. The mix of high rollers and underworld figures added a layer of tension and danger to the already charged atmosphere. As 8:30 p.m. approached, Tupac Shakur arrived at the venue, accompanied by his security of armed bodyguards from the Mob Piru Bloods, a notorious Compton street gang whose members worked for Knight's Death Row Records. As they made their way through the crowds of fans, Shakur and Knight took their seats in the front row, smoking cigars, signing autographs, and waving to their supporters. The heavyweight championship bout at the MGM Grand had just ended, with Tyson delivering a stunning knockout victory in just 109 seconds. It was a display of sheer dominance, with Tyson barely breaking a sweat as he unleashed a powerful left hook that sent Seldon to the mat. Tupac Shakur, who had been in attendance, was excited after witnessing Tyson's victory. He had always been a huge fan of Tyson and was thrilled to see him triumph in such a spectacular fashion. He was looking forward to a night of celebration with his crew. The events that would transpire later that evening would change the course of hip-hop history forever. This incident would later become a crucial piece of evidence in the investigation into Tupac's murder. Following the intense brawl, Shakur returned to his hotel, the Luxor, Las Vegas, where he confessed to his girlfriend, Kidada Jones, about the incident. He had promised to return to her after entering the MGM Grand and had asked her to wait in a vehicle. Shakur changed his clothes and left the hotel in a BMW sedan with Suge Knight, his record label boss. Their destination was Club 662, a nightclub owned by Knight, where Shakur was scheduled to perform at a charity concert. The time was approximately 11 p.m. on September 7, 1996. Security cameras captured footage of the BMW leaving the hotel, with Knight behind the wheel and Shakur in the passenger seat. Shakur's crew, including his bodyguard Frank Alexander, followed in a separate car. At 11:10 p.m. the same day, Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight drove down East Flamingo Road in front of the Maxim Hotel in Shakur's newly purchased 1996 BMW 750iL sedan. As they waited for a red light to turn green at the intersection of Koval Lane, a car occupied by two women pulled up on the left side of their vehicle. Shakur began talking to the women through the open window of his car, and they exchanged a few words. Shakur and Knight inviting the women to join them at Club 662.
Where y'all going?
About to go to the club.
Can me and my homegirl go too?
Hell yeah.
We're going to 662, fall in.
Follow up.
At 11:15 p.m., a white four-door Cadillac, which was believed to be a late model, pulled up to Knight's right side. The shooter was seated at the back of the Cadillac and rapidly fired gunshots from a .40 caliber S&W Glock 22 at Shakur's BMW. The windows of Shakur's BMW shattered as bullets flew through them. Shakur attempted to find cover in the back of the car, but the hail of bullets struck him 4 times, tearing into his chest and leaving blood splattered everywhere. Shakur sustained 4 gunshot wounds, 2 in the chest, 1 in the arm, and 1 in the thigh, while Knight suffered only minor injuries. Although Knight was injured and their car had a flat tire, he managed to drive Shakur and himself about a mile from the scene to the intersection of Las Vegas Boulevard and Harmon Avenue. Knight made a U-turn and headed back to the Strip, with the death row crew following close behind. Knight rammed his car onto a curb, bringing the vehicle to a stop just a few blocks from the Strip. Soon, Las Vegas police arrived at the scene. They immediately called for an ambulance for Shakur and ordered everyone in the death row convoy out of their vehicles at gunpoint. Despite Knight's head injury, the police forced him to lie face down on the ground. Shakur was rushed to the nearby University Medical Center, where he underwent emergency surgery. Doctors removed Tupac Shakur's right lung to prevent further internal bleeding. Following the initial assessment that gave him a 50-50 chance of survival, doctors said that Tupac Shakur's chances of surviving the 4 gunshot wounds had now dropped to 1 in 5. Dr. John Fields, the chairman of the trauma center at University Medical Center, explained that 8 out of 10 patients do not survive such injuries. Shakur was later sedated and put on life support machines at the hospital. Due to his repeated attempts to get out of bed, he was eventually put into a medically induced coma. Despite being connected to a respirator, his body was still experiencing violent convulsions. His health was declining. He passed away 6 days after the shooting at 4:03 p.m. on September 13, 1996, with his mother by his side. Investigation into Shakur's murder remains ongoing. Orlando Anderson, who died in 1998 following a gang-related shooting, was the only suspect arrested for the murder of Tupac Shakur. However, Anderson was never charged for the crime and had consistently denied his involvement in the notorious shooting.
I was not involved. I mean, I'm like a victim. You know what I'm saying? I feel, sorry for him.
Dwayne Davis, aka Keith D, confessed to being in the car with the shooter and says the fatal shot that killed Tupac came from the back seat of the car. However, he refused to name the shooter due to the street code.
Happen to see my friend, chill.
Suge looks over, he sees you.
Yeah.
He looks right at you.
Yeah, he was here.
You said the shots came from the back. Big Dre, Orlando. You shot Tupac.
To keep it for the code of the streets. It just came from the backseat, bro.
A former Los Angeles police detective who investigated the case alleges that Sean Diddy Combs was involved in the killing. He alleged that Combs offered Crips gang member Keith D a payment of $1 million to murder Tupac and Suge Knight. Combs has consistently denied any involvement in the death of Tupac.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother.
Rumors of Notorious B.I.G.'s involvement in the shooting of Tupac surfaced immediately after it was reported. The two rappers had a beef, leading many to suspect that Biggie was behind the attack. Biggie has repeatedly denied any involvement in the shooting. Despite being behind the wheel when Tupac was shot, rumors of Suge's involvement in the murder persist. Theory goes that Tupac intended to leave Death Row Records to start his own label, but he owned the company. If Tupac were killed, Death Row Records and Suge Knight could profit from his unreleased material. However, Suge has never been formally charged with the murder. While we may never know the truth, the legacy of Tupac Shakur continues to live on through his music and his impact on the world of hip-hop. Several theories about who was responsible include members of rival gangs and even members of Tupac's crew. We want to hear from you. Who do you think is responsible for the death of Tupac? And was his death inevitable considering gang ties?